Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff.
And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you may be listening to us across the entire globe. You're listening to Tarot Today Radio here on the Psychic Talk Radio Network. We are a live call-in show, so give us a ring at 714-816-4628. We'd love to chat with you today. When you get through on the phone lines, remember to press number 1 on your dial pad so we know that you want to be live on air. One more time, that's 714-816-4628. And, of course, you can also join us in the chat room on the Tarot Guild website. That's right. Our Friday and Saturday shows are sponsored by the Tarot Guild, the international organization for tarot lovers, students, and professionals since 2004. We're now in our 16th year. And you can come over and join the website for free, thetarotguild.com. It's a lot more than a website, folks. It is like Facebook for tarot. All the same features that you find on the big social media websites, but it's all tarot all the time and none of the negative stuff. That's right. And it's free to join the website and use all the features, thetarotguild.com. And we are in the chat room there. You'll find the link to the chat room in the navigation bar at the top of any page. And by the way, if you're on your phone, it shows a chat bubble at the top. So if you're on your phone, you just press the chat bubble there. Otherwise, you can also type in thetarotguild.com/chat, and that will bring you in here. You can chat with Mary and I. You can comment on the show, comment on the topic, all the things we're discussing, and, of course, ask for a mini reading live on air, but we would, in the chat room, but we would rather talk to you live on air. And you can do that by calling 714-816-4628. And speaking of Mary, let's bring her on here, the fabulous Mary Brown. Hey, Mary.
Hey, Dax. Hey, everybody. Happy Tarot Today show on Saturday.
Yeah. We used to always say Happy Psychic Saturday, and now we don't know what to say. No, we can still say Happy Psychic Saturday. It's so
Happy Psychic Saturday.
For those that don't know, our show on Saturdays was Psychic Saturday. And we decided at the beginning of the year for the 10th anniversary of our very first tarot show, Tarot Today Radio, to bring the old title back, Tarot Today Radio. So we just thought it was just perfect. So we brought it back, and now we're Tarot Today Radio again. You know, but we've been broadcasting nonstop since 2010 for 10 years now. You know, but
it's amazing.
Yeah, but there's been many incarnations of the show and the networks and things like that, and I feel like we've come full circle.
Me too, because I brought back There's a Rock for that too, and premiered that last week, and that was a lot of fun. So it does feel like we've come full circle.
That's right. And you know, you're kind of doing the press not the press junket, but the media tour, because you're popping on all these different shows. You were just on Sharona Rapsick's show, right?
Oh, I had a blast on Sharona's show, Magic Universe, last Sunday. That was so much fun, and then this Friday, I get to be with you.
You're going to be on our
Dr.
show.
Rose.
Me and Dr. Rose, yeah.
I'm having a great time.
We got an interesting topic for you.
About it. Yeah, I was just going to say I'm excited about our topic today. I think that's one that, we've all grappled with, right, as tarot readers, and when we first were starting out, what to do about all those keywords. Are they really helpful, friend or foe?
Oh, my God. Well, think about it. You got 78 cards. If you do reversals, potentially, depending on how you're doing it, there may be 256 cards. And if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 keywords for each one, you know, that's a lot of memorization if you're going to memorize.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see people struggle with that all the time, you know. I mean, I guess for people that are good with memorization, maybe they don't struggle as much with that. But not everybody is, I see people all the time like, I can't remember what it means. What's the word? Word?
Yeah. But my thing always was, whether you want to use the keywords or not use the keywords, whose keywords are you going to use? That's the thing.
That's a great point. Right, because it's not like it's official, right?
Right.
It's not like there's an official list.
Well, I think it's really important to point that out because for a large swath of the population, especially if they're only just getting into tarot, they think that there are. They think that it's set in stone and it's been that way for 600 years or something like that,
Yeah, and that's not really how it is. It's really interesting because it's like if you look at, some of the findings that they have on some of these historical decks, and every once in a while they'll find a little snippet of divinatory meanings for the cards that were written way back when with some of these historical decks. Like the Metelli deck, I think they found some meanings that were written way back when the deck was created around that time. And that is so incredibly different from what, you see today. And so I think, from other decks of the time, so it's kind of really fascinating that I don't think there was ever like one agreed upon list of meanings for each of the cards, even from the start.
Well, and plus, there's things that exist now that didn't exist 50 years ago. There's things that didn't exist 10, 15 years ago, the iPhone, so there's things that come into our lexicon and our everyday use that we have to adapt contemporary meanings for things. Like my favorite always to point out is the internet, of course. And different people will ascribe, different meanings relating to the internet to different cards. Often the Eight of Wands has been adopted because people for a long time thought of the Eight of Wands as something happening quickly, quick movement. The wands are flying through the air. Even it was adopted to air travel, at one point, and now it's thought of as the internet or any communication, telecommunication, anything going through the air, you see. But then other people think that, okay, wait a minute, the internet is thoughts and ideas being transmitted and carried from place to place across the globe. So that's swords. So some people will associate it to, say, the Six of Swords, where the swords, thoughts and ideas, are being carried on a boat. And yes, it's a boat, but if you extrapolate into, travel across from country to country across the seas, and then in the air, and then the next level is through the internet or telecommunications. Thoughts and ideas how to travel via ship, and then through the air, then through the telecommunications or the internet. And so there's going to be all these contemporary meanings, contemporary keywords as well. And I think if you're going to use keywords to learn, I don't see anything wrong with that, except for, again, whose keywords are you going to use? I think research should be done on that. Like, in other words, what do you think the meaning of the card is by looking at the card, and then look at other people's lists of keywords, and always remember that they are just merely suggestions, and you adopt what you want to adopt. And the other thing is more than one keyword, because each card can have so many different meanings. I think one of the problems is because there's so many cards, 78 cards or 256 with, am I doing that right? Wait, 78 and 78, 156 is what I meant to say. Yeah. So 78 cards or 156 with reversals, because that's a lot, people will just give one keyword to each card and really limit each card with that. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, I think, it's like what was really helpful to me starting out was like reading, some of what the big tarot authors, from times past, had to say and how they were describing, what the cards mean and stuff. And Paul Foster Case especially was so helpful to me because it was the idea of like, one, it's different, right? So if you read reversals, maybe you have like a lot of times you see that reverse meanings for the card, but if you use elemental dignities or you're looking at how the cards work in a reading and the impact of the other cards around that card. So, if you have, say like the Chariot card, you have the Chariot card by itself, and one of those, traditional meanings for the Chariot card that kind of like ties in with what you're saying. One of the traditional Chariot card meanings is like victory, and like how often do we really, use that word in today's world? We really don't say like, victory is mine, unless you're watching like Family Guy or something. So it's like, it would be really awkward in a reading to tell somebody like, oh, victory, because, in our world, somebody's going to look at you like,
but they do.
What? Like,
but
what
they
do you mean?
do. I know readers that'll do that. They'll go, oh, victory. But the Chariot card can mean so many other things. Look, wheeled travel,
exactly.
Cars, trains, automobiles.
Yeah, transportation like you were saying, all these things have changed in our world. Transportation has changed immensely. I mean, from, what it was in the 14, 15, 16, even 1800s, even the early 1900s. But, so, one card by itself, maybe it's okay to like, have a keyword you associate with it. But once you start putting that in a reading, that's going to really change. It's affected by the cards around it. So how is the meaning of, what Paul Foster Case suggested is like come up with your own meanings, right? And if it's a keyword, if you're using just single words, that's fine. I use like more like phrases or full sentences, but really study the cards. What does it mean when like it's positively affected? Say like the elements really work well together, what does it mean in that case? What if the other cards around it sort of neutralize the meaning? Then what does that mean to you? And what if you feel like it's impacted negatively, like that some of the energy is taken away by the other elements that are surrounding that card? What would be your positive meaning, your neutral meaning, or even your negative meaning? And if you have like those three ideas, I feel like ideas is a better way to look at it than keywords, because it's like you want to be thinking about it. You don't want to just memorize lists of words because that's not going to help you in the long run if you're doing readings. I mean, I don't think keywords are all that helpful to begin with. I think like what you said, look at the imagery of the card. What feeling do you get from it? What does that bring to mind for you?
And I think there's each card is more of a concept. There is this huge spectrum, this huge swath of meaning across. It's not just black and white. It's not all positive or all negative. Okay, any card. There's a lot of gray area in between, and it's more of a concept than a specific meaning, because out of that concept you can then extrapolate a lot of different meanings depending on the reading itself. I mean, you honestly, you don't have a meaning for any particular card until you have a question and you have a spread. You don't have a meaning.
Well, exactly.
The way I look at it, cards on their own do not have meanings. It's the client or the querent or, whoever's asking the question, the sitter, they're asking the question. You're drawing cards in relation to their question, and then the meaning of the cards is dependent on the other cards present and what the question was, not, the Tower card always means this one thing, like disaster. Some people use the word disaster. That's all it can ever mean is disaster, But it can mean a lot of other things. Somebody might be asking a specific question, and the Tower card is in a spread, and it merely means a shift in foundations, a shift in beliefs for that individual regarding the question, regarding what's going on in the scenario that the question is based on. And so that's the way I look at it. And I think if I was going to argue against keywords, that would be the argument, that ascribing keywords is reducing cards to specific meanings that it may or may not have. Cards don't have meaning until you have a reading going on. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and I agree too. I think you always start with the question. Somebody's asking a question of you, and usually, people get readings because they really want to know something, right? And so they're coming to you with a question, and if you don't take that question into consideration, it's like you're just pulling cards for the heck of it. You're asking the question, the cards are responding to that question, and if you're sticking with keywords that have nothing to do, if you don't contextualize it in that moment of the reading and that person and their concern that they want a reading about, much of a reading. And I think that's why you've got to really, be flexible, and really, try to see, like, okay, this card comes up, she asked that question, she asked that question. What does the card have to say? How does it speak to that question? And that's that broad spectrum you're talking about, because there's so many different things that could be indicating, but the question kind of gives you a way to sort of pinpoint the meaning. It's like, oh, okay.
Right.
This in response to that.
Along with if you're using positions like in a spread or something like that. But I got a couple more things that I was thinking. Real quick, I want to mention that, hey, guys, this is a great time to call in because we're going to be doing the calls, 714-816-4628. Remember to press 1 on your dial pad so we know you want to be live on air as soon as you call through, 714-816-4628. Oh, God, I'm screwing this up. Let me try that again. 714-816-4628. And remember to press the number 1 as soon as you get through. And if you're on Skype, remember to open the Skype app and go in and open the dial pad, press 1. That's how you do it on that. But a couple other things is the fact that unlike years ago, now we've got thousands upon thousands of decks with all different illustration. And so that alters the meaning anyway. And so how can you have a set keywords for, like, the Lover's card when there's all kinds of different versions of the Lover's card, unless you don't plan on not taking into consideration, which a lot of people do, it doesn't matter what the illustration is to them. The Lover's card is the Lover's card. And the other thing is the changes through history, not just contemporary meanings we were talking about earlier, but just the changing. Do you use keywords from way back when? And there's a reason why I keep coming back to the Lover's card. It's because I got it as the card of the day. And
cool.
Nowadays the Lover's card, we think love, we think relationships, meaningful relationships, romance, union, harmony, all these kind of things. But originally it meant choice. It meant making a choice, making a decision. And it did for, centuries. And then, Pamela Smith redecorated it there, for the Rider-Waite Smith version, which became the most widely spread, especially from the 60s on. And, the Lover's card is, well, that's romance, that's love. It's like, well, yeah, but it originally meant choices. And sometimes to this day, in my readings, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that it's about a choice, that needs to be made or isn't being made or something else. Depending, like usually it's the Two of Swords shows up if it's a because it's the two possible ways and the crossed ideas, and she's blindfolded. And so the Two of Swords is kind of what usually pops up for me when there's a decision that's delayed or not being made, or, they don't want to make the decision, whereas the Lover's card refers to other choices, But that's another thing to look at as well.
Absolutely. And I think that, if you take that approach, it's like that's where like the real magic of a tarot reading happens, because it's like, oh, okay, you see how it applies again to the situation that the person, sometimes, when a lot of times when I do readings, really, so often, and I think it's true for other readers too, we can look at the cards. And if you do like a spread that where you're looking at the whole situation, like past, present, and future, it, influences that kind of stuff with it, then you can tell somebody exactly what has, you can describe the situation as it is. You can describe what happened before this and everything. And people are like, wow, why is that? And that's because you're looking at the cards and you're applying it to today and to that moment and that person and that question. And so I think we've got to really, again, flexibility when we're looking at the cards and we're attaching meanings to them.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think you can look, especially if you're brand new, you can look at the deck, you can get your impressions, write them down. That's what the beginning of a tarot journal is. Everybody should start a tarot journal. And, do a page for each card and write down your first impressions before you crack any books or look on the web and, start discovering keywords, and then that way you can figure it out. But another way to go at it is to, take a course, like I have my Tarot by the Numbers course, where you learn elements and the numbers, the numerology. You learn these aspects first before you start looking at the cards themselves, and so you have some kind of context of why are the numbers and why are there the elements, why are the different the different elements on the cards, for instance. Why is the suit of wands has all these wands? What does wands mean? I think if you know what the wands mean, and you know what the cups and the swords and the pentacles mean, and the quintessential element, I always add the fifth element in spirit, because I consider the trump cards, the major arcana, to be the fifth suit, and to be that, so if you study the five Platonic solids from Metatron's cube and Plato, and you know what the five Platonic solids mean, you know the associated elements and understand those elements, and then also understand numerology, understand the 9 whole numbers, the master numbers. Then when you look at the deck itself, you have a context to go by for getting your first impression of what the individual cards mean, because you go, okay, this is the Two of Pentacles. Okay, so the earth element, earth means this, 2 means this, and then you look at the image on the card, and you can write down what your first thoughts are, and then go look at what people say about the Two of Pentacles. And develop your own. For me, it's creating a language. It's you're inputting a language into your brain, this tarot language, and it's your language. It's what the cards mean to you, not what it means to the tarot reader down the street. And so
exactly
you want to develop that. Yeah, and I think I started off with keywords, and I ended up okay. I'm okay. But the thing is,
you're okay. You know what I did is
I do think, however, I want the finishing that sentence is that but I think that it did slow me down. I think that it would have been faster. I think I would have gotten it better if I had just worked with the cards myself and let it naturally develop, I don't know. For me, the jury's still out, but you go ahead. What were you going to say, hon?
Well, two things that I did that I think were the most helpful to me was, like, one, you're absolutely right about journaling being, like, so helpful. And one thing that I did with my tarot journal in the beginning was, I got a smaller version of the Rider-Waite. Okay. They have the smaller versions, the mini versions.
Yeah.
And
they have a tiny one.
and I took each, card, and I had like a big notebook, and I taped one of those cards and every 3 pages or so. So I could like go back to it, look at the card in that journal, and then write down my notes and my thoughts and ideas that would spring up. And then after that, I really dug into it. But the best thing that I did was later on, I took a bunch of index cards, 78 index cards, and I color-coded my index cards. I don't know if people were like me in this way, but I color-coded them, so it was like having like a little Rolodex of tarot meanings. And then I looked at like really, really decks that were like so very different from each other. Like the Rider-Waite and like the Osho Zen deck, or the Voyager deck,
Marseille.
where,
and Voyager.
Yeah, in Marseille, where people have gone like off in really different directions, and some modern decks. And I just kind of wrote down a lot of like the meanings, that those deck creators had associated and that I would get from looking at those different kinds of decks. And I put those on the index cards. And, always in the concept of having that, positively affected, neutralized, negatively impacted. And because I work more with the elements and I don't use reversals, so I do more elemental dignities than I do reversals. So it was like doing that, but it's like create even like your own system of that, because you're absolutely right. It's going to matter more what it means to you than what it means to anybody else. Mm-hmm. You're the one doing the reading. So why get a reading from you? The thing is like, get your own thing that really resonates with you, your own approach. We're giving you some great ideas of how to like start out with this. And then once you're secure in what the cards mean to you, you're going to give great readings because you have that understanding. And so the tarot's going to speak to you in your understanding of it, is what I think.
Well, there's another factor that we know from psychology, that there's something magical about putting pen to paper or pencil to paper. Actually writing things down, our memory retains it so much more. And so you're going to be a lot farther ahead than the person that, starts doing the readings for their friends and they have, the book laying open there and they're like flipping through pages trying to look for keywords. If you've already done a whole journal and worked on it for a month or two and then done the index cards and you have those as an emergency backup, you're going to be way farther ahead, because just the writing down of everything and the rereading and the mulling over and having it all together in one place and spread out through many pages in one book, or spread out through many, many books, kind of like that. Yeah, and I like the Paul Foster Case idea that you said, how you learned how he said that you should have the positive, the neutral, and the negative. And I think that's a really good idea. What would be positive keywords or meanings? What would be neutral? What would be negative? And that makes you stretch your thoughts on the concept.
It does. It really does. And I think that It's a much more helpful approach than, but what comes to mind, we're talking about these keywords, and I can't help it. Remember, Janet Boyer, who's been on the network forever,
Mm-hmm.
been with the Tarot Guild forever.
And on and off
she's
as
written
the
a lot
host, too.
Right, and she's written, a lot of wonderful tarot books, but I do have her tarot reversals book, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in that, it really fits with what you're talking about by modern contemporary meanings and stuff. She has just like, I don't know, hundreds of keywords for reverse meanings for each card. And some of them, they really are concepts that,
Right.
like, way back when nobody would have ever thought about, because it applies to, like, our lives today, because that's what, we're doing readings in our time. We're not doing them from hundreds of years ago. So it's so important to, like, really stretch.
Speaking of Janet, I would suggest her more recent book, Naked Tarot, because it's like an encyclopedia of tarot, where with modern associations, like for every card there's an association to Disney somehow, Star Trek. I mean, every possible concept, and then, contemporary meanings, things like that. I always wanted to do a contemporary meanings project that was, we talked about this years ago, where it was crowdsourced. So, everybody that's involved with the Tarot Guild, we got, 5,000 something members on the Tarot Guild Facebook group. And, if we could get a whole lot of people crowdsourcing contemporary meanings for all 78 cards, that would be just brilliant.
Oh, that'd be fun. Absolutely.
Yeah. We never got that project going, but I would love to do that still. Yeah. So we're at the bottom of the hour. Do you want to let us know some of the upcoming shows on the network, and then we're going to take some phone calls too?
Absolutely. So what we have coming up on the Psychic Talk Radio Network, our next show is going to be Monday, March 16th, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, the Wisdom of the Soul Show with your host, Janice Fuchs. And that will be followed on Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, on the Compassionate Light Healing and Guidance Show with your host, Catherine Hahn, Reclaiming Your Power. And then on the Friday show, the Doctors Are In with host Dr. Rose Wilkerson and Dr. Dax Carlisle, and I'll be on, and we're going to be talking about the Irish Fae. So I'm excited about that. And then, Dax, you and I will be back next Saturday, March 21st, with our special guest, James Rickliff, and we're going to be talking about tarot games, because, come on,
I'm really
so many
excited
people are going
about
to be.
that.
It's going to be fun because, look, we're all stuck at home, or about to be, it seems like. So take out your deck and, make it fun for the whole family. And James is going to have some great ideas about that.
Yeah, and you could get on Skype or a Zoom conference call with everybody at their own individual houses, but still play a game together.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Modern
you don't
technology.
have to be. We don't have to be confined right now. Social distancing doesn't mean alienation. Use your video conference call. You can, video chat in so many different ways. Even on Facebook Messenger, you can video chat.
Right.
So stay connected, everybody, in the midst of this, and we're going to get it through it all together.
Yeah, create a group on Facebook, and then you can ring everybody up at once. It's great stuff. Great stuff that we can do nowadays. But I'm so excited about that because James was one of the very first, big name, famous tarot author kind of guests that we had on Tarot Today Radio 10 years ago. And so it's so apropos to have him, back on 10 years later. I know you interviewed him recently on your previous monthly show, and that was just a fantastic interview. You can find it on thetarotguild.com. Just click videos, and you'll be able to check out that show, that interview with James. And but I personally haven't interviewed with James in eons. So, it's going to be fun.
It'll be like a reunion.
Yeah, that's right. That's
fun.
right. And then I know Sharona's having her next show that Sunday because she's every other Sunday.
Yeah.
What's she doing?
On Sunday, March 22nd, on the Magic Universe show. She's going to be talking, this is going to be so great, raising your vibrations with essential oils. That's awesome. I can't wait to listen to that one. I love essential oils. And you can find all of our upcoming shows by going to psychictalk.net/upcoming. And then I also wanted to mention real quick, don't forget to join our Facebook groups. We have the Psychic Talk Radio Facebook group. I post a card of the day in there every day. Today's card was from the Gateway Oracle deck by Denise Lynn with just gorgeous illustrations by Jesse Reich. And the message, I think, is so important and wonderful right now, and it's all about letting your light shine far and wide. That, we all make a difference in this world, and sometimes that difference is just, shining our light so that others can feel that warmth and that brightness.
Especially these days with the chaos going on and the coronavirus and all that kind of thing. And, we should also mention that we are going to do that Psychic Spin show the last Saturday of the month, which, what is that, the 28th? We're going to actually do the Psychic Spin show on the 28th on the coronavirus. There's a lot of questions that can be asked about, what's going on, how long is this going to last, is our lives really going to be turned upside down, is it going to get worse before it gets better, like they say? Because we can look at it with a psychic eye. That's what we call that. That's what that Psychic Spin segment is, we can look at it with a psychic eye. We can pull cards. We can, give our intuition on things. And, but, we'd like, that's a few weeks away, gives a lot of time, and we can mention this again on next week's show. There's a lot of time for you guys to contact us in between shows. Shoot us an email, shoot us a message on Facebook, Mary or I, and, let us know what you'd like us to ask the tarot about, this situation with the virus.
Yeah.
We'd like to hear your opinions. Maybe you have better question ideas than we do.
You never know, right? There's, look, I think that it's something that, seems to be affecting almost everybody in some way or another, even if it's just being kind of worried about it. And so, as much as we can address that, I think it's helpful to look at it from all different angles. We've got the official angle. We're getting a lot of great advice finally from our government and our news media that really focused in on what we need to know. And so I think it's a great idea to let's pull some cards on it too and see what the tarot has to say about it.
And if you're on our phone lines today, let us know how this situation is affecting you, and let us know if you have any questions that you'd like us to do on that Psychic Spin segment, in addition to whatever you're calling in for today. And by the way, let's give that out, 714-816-4628. That's 714-816-4628. And remember to press 1 on your dial pad as soon as you get through, so we know you want to be live on air with us. Are you ready to go to the phone lines, Mary? See who's out there?
Let's do it.
All righty. Let's see here. So we have about 20 minutes left in the show here. We'll see how many calls we can squeeze in. First, we're going to L.A. It's going to be area code 310. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from exactly?
Yes, my name is Susan, and I'm actually in Oklahoma now. I just moved back.
Oh, in Oklahoma.
Being in Los Angeles area, yeah.
You threw us off with
Oklahoma.
that 3110 area code. I remember being in West Hollywood, and it was 310.
Yes.
How you doing today, Susan?
I'm fine, just chilling in the house. So.
Yep, like the rest of us.
Yeah.
I actually have a hand sanitizer in like both bathrooms and in my car, in the center console. And we were out last night, and I was at the VFW playing bingo of all things. And there's a story about that from yesterday's show that we'll do a little bit later. But when we went from place to place, as soon as we got into the car, it was like, do the hand sanitizer. and we don't even have any cases to speak of in Tucson. There's a few up in Phoenix.
Yeah, I don't think there's very many here either, but the grocery store was crazy yesterday. So.
Oh God, it's insane. I mean, I went out last night on the way home to get a few things, and I looked at the paper aisle. It was decimated. All the toilet paper was gone here in Tucson, and it's the what's the word for it? The hysteria of it. It's just absolutely insane. Yeah. So what are you calling in about today, Susan?
Well, I actually am not panicked. I'm just trying to
Good.
live life normally. And so in doing that, I've been applying for some new jobs. I just want to see if you see any of those coming to fruition.
Okay. Do you have like one or two or three that you're particularly looking at that we could pull cards for each one, or you just want us to pull a spread and see if you're going to get a job in general, or how do you want us to do it?
Well, there's one that I've applied for here in Oklahoma and another one that I've applied for in Texas.
Okay. That makes it a lot easier because then I can pull a card for the Oklahoma one and a card for the Texas one, and then I can pull Mary's in Texas, by the way. She's in Amarillo. And I can pull a couple of qualifier cards. And we'll see what it looks like here. Okay, so that's Oklahoma, and that's Texas. Okay, yeah, I don't want to get confused here. I was like, okay, wait, what was I pulling on again? Okay, so you want me to go first, Mary, or how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do like I'm gonna pull cards for each, Texas and Oklahoma. So either way, go first.
Nice. Awesome. So, I'm getting a feeling of, let's see, that would be the Texas one, more emotional fulfillment. So we're not talking about the financial aspect of it, which is what, people think of right away with jobs, but the emotional satisfaction that you get out of it.
No, I'm actually looking for the latter. Yeah. I want emotional stability, and being appreciated is like of utmost importance.
Right. And with the Oklahoma one, the cards I'm getting are talking more about it being, it's not quite as settled. It's not quite as emotionally fulfilling. There's fantasy and illusion and potentially even confusion. Now, let me look at some of the other cards here, though. Now, with the Texas thing, though, you got the Four of Pentacles, and in the traditional Waite Smith version, he's like really holding on to the coin. I mean, I kind of have the feeling of constriction there. Like, at first, it might be financially more difficult for a little bit of time, but then comes in the Six of Pentacles, and then the money is then flowing at that point. Okay. So it starts out a little constricted, and then it flows. Okay. Now, when we look at the okay, so when we look at the Oklahoma one, I'm not getting anything on the financial aspect of it, really. It's talking about, how to put it here, that there's a certain stability. Although I'm getting the Seven of Swords, which sometimes talks about there may be more to it than you think. Like there might be something going on in the background that you're unaware of. It's a card of manipulation and cunning and, you know, sneakiness going on behind your back kind of thing. Yeah. So, you know, as I look at the whole thing overall, I'm really more drawn to Texas, actually, to that job than I am to the other one. But let's see what Mary's getting. Maybe she's got some more insight here.
Well, I pulled some cards for each, for, you know, the Oklahoma job you applied for and for the Texas job you applied for. And really, yeah, I'm leaning more toward Texas too. I'm not saying that because I live in Texas, but I'm just saying, you know, it looks better. 3 Cups comes up on Texas, so I think that, you know, it's one where you're going to feel more connected. You know, even though you live in Oklahoma, for some reason it feels like this job would be one where you would feel more connected. The strength card comes up as well. So I think, you know, that looks really good. When I look at Oklahoma, it looks kind of iffy, and it looks like, you know, there's some conflicts to deal with the Five of Swords and the Knight of Wands. The only thing that I would say about the Texas thing is I do have the Four of Swords that comes up, so there might be some delays around that. You know, like that might be something that, like, it looks really good for you to get it, but maybe there's something that delays it from happening right away. You know, it could be like, you know, all this craziness going on, you know, that could have an impact on hiring and, you know, travel, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, it looks really like that's the better prospect for you.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually had a reading. Oh, it's in Carrollton.
Oh, okay. I know where that is.
Yeah, I actually had a reading months ago, and someone said that I would be connected with a farm. And I'm like, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard of. But then I thought about it, and it's Carrollton Farmers Branch is what the name of the school district is. So it actually hit me yesterday. So I was like, okay, well, maybe that's what I really need to be focusing on and putting my energy into it. So thank you so much. It just really helps to validate that maybe that's the right place to put my focus. So yeah, and I think
awesome.
that'll
be great. We're always happy to welcome a new Texan.
Oh, I thank you. We'll see. I'm not crossing my fingers.
Okay,
thanks for calling.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend, too. Wow. That was a good one. Good call to start off with, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see who's been waiting the longest. It's weird. The studio is not showing the wait times like it normally does, although it is showing in what order that you guys called in, which is all we really need. But sometimes I like to see the wait times because, my God, sometimes people call like way before the show starts. Let's see here. Who's been waiting the longest? So it looks like caller 770 is next. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you
What's
doing?
your name?
I can't complain. I heard you guys talking about the virus, and that's been like a big thing in Atlanta because I actually work for the police department for the school system. So we're on alert. Yeah, with different things.
Wow.
So definitely, you know, have to listen in on that show to see what you guys have to add to that. But
and what was your name? I didn't catch the name.
Tamika. I'm sorry, it's Tamika.
Tanika.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yes. So my question was just really around my love life. I'm actually, you know, just trying to see what do you see coming up for that.
Okay. Was there any particular person you wanted us to focus on, or just in general?
There's a guy that I've been dating off and on for about 4 years, and we actually just had a disagreement on yesterday. So not sure.
So now we have questions. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I think I think it's my turn to go first. So let's see what comes up on love life for you and this current relationship, that we're kind of dealing with. Look, it's interesting, so the devil card comes up in the past position, so to me, just a light reading of the devil card is sort of like, there's an obstacle. We had a disagreement. We had something that we kind of were divided on. And then, from there, it's really interesting because I got like almost all major cards around this. The Magician card, the Hierophant card, the Judgment card underpinning everything, and the Three of Swords above everything else. Okay. So I feel like what this is really pointing to is that you've got to kind of make a decision about this situation with him, that you said you've been off and on, and we have to kind of decide with the Three of Swords, we have to really kind of say like, okay, this disagreement that we have, this off and on aspect of this relationship, how far apart are we really? How close are we really? And what do I want to do about it going forward? Are we going to be able to, really have a sense of commitment here or not, since we have the Hierophant card? And with the Magician card in the center, it's saying like, look, you're going to make the right choice. You've got all the tools you need to and you know what you need to know about this, but it's really going to come down to like kind of making a choice about this and getting with him, being able to talk with him about what do we really want going forward, Okay. So I think the big message I'm getting is it's like decision time in regards to that relationship. But maybe Dax can shed some more light on this for us.
Okay.
Well, I'm basically getting the same thing, though. In fact, I was laughing, giggling to myself when you were talking about, the choice thing, and I'm looking right here at the central focus card in my spread is the Queen of Swords, and she's very analytical, and she's making decisions. And interestingly enough, the Queen of Cups is left of her, and so they kind of have their backs towards each other. I mean, they do have their backs towards each other. And so it's talking about, because cups are emotions, it's talking about how you got to make the decision from a mental place, because Queen of Swords is thoughts and ideas, and the Queen of Swords is very analytical, okay? So it's saying to turn your back to the emotional aspect of it, at least for now, and to really take a step back and, think outside the box, step out of the box, and, just try to look at – I'm sorry, I can't hear. What's going on there?
I'm sorry. Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I heard this loud ringing, and then I thought you said something.
Fine.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
No.
And so, yeah, it's the same thing that Mary was saying, that you got to look at it from a more analytical point of view. Can it be ultimately saved? It could, yes. The Temperance card shows up. It's the marrying of opposites sometimes and blending together. Like she said, like Mary said about analyzing, how far apart are you? Can because even opposites attract, and
right.
it's possible to blend. Even if you're having issues, the Temperance card suggests that can be, worked on. However, then that's at the beginning of the spread. All the way at the end of the spread, Ten of Swords, which is ultimate. Hitting rock bottom, the end of a relationship, the divorce, it's the end. It's like, so it could really go either way, really.
Okay.
Also, the Four of Cups shows up, and that's, I think, just pointing to, it's the Trouble in Paradise card. It's or stuck in a rut kind of thing, and it's sort of talking about, like, you're not happy with the situation, But then there's this other opportunity you're not aware of that's being handed you, but you're not seeing it, you know. So I felt obligated to like kind of throw that in because it's showing up in the spread there. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, I hope that helped a little bit anyway.
Thank you. Let me know any
decision.
So yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for calling,
awesome.
and thanks for what you do as a first responder in this time of crisis as well. We need you.
Absolutely.
We really all need you.
Yes, and so enjoy the rest of your weekend, Tanika, too. And as we said earlier, you know, whatever you're calling in about is great. But if you also have something you want to say, maybe you have an idea for us, something we should be asking the tarot when we do our Psychic Spin episode on the coronavirus crises, you know, on the 28th of this month is when we're doing that. You know, let us know. We'll write those down and see if we can work with them. And or if there's anything else on your mind that you want to throw out there, it's open lines as well. So, you know, if you just want to talk about, I don't know, toilet paper.
Oh, but Dax, you
God.
have to tell us the story. You didn't, you know, you and Dr. Rose did that cool show on Friday yesterday about expecting luck on Friday the 13th, and then look what happened to you. You got to tell everybody because it's so cool.
Well, really go listen to that show because it's probably one of the best shows that Dr. Rose and I have ever done. And it's just a ton of great information about luck, studies on luck, what you can do, how you can draw in more luck. We thought it was really apropos because obviously, you know, St. Patty's Day is coming up, Luck of the Irish, you know, in 17th, I think, so Tuesday. And then it was Friday the 13th, which people think of as unlucky, but actually in many cultures, the number 13, the 13th is actually positive, you know, is actually lucky. And so we, you know, my first instinct was expecting luck. You know, I think that's the real key. You draw in the luck when you expect the luck. And we read off like 4 points from a professor in the UK that's actually done a lot of research on luck. And the third point actually was what our title was. It is about expecting luck. They found that people that expect it draw it in more. You know, we also talked about, you know, remember Lucky Charms? We actually talked about charms too, because it turns out in the research, people that have lucky charms have a lucky or carry a talisman or carry a crystal, which, by the way, next Friday we were going to hit you up on that. We were going to ask, you know, hey, what's the crystal for luck? Yeah, and what they found was that people that carry these things and have belief in it actually are more lucky. Yeah. So we did this whole show on it. You got to listen to it if you missed it. Go into our archive at psychictalk.net. The Friday shows, actually all the shows are at psychictalk.net/Fridays. That easy. And go listen to that show after the show. You're gonna really love the information. We had a great time, Dr. Rose and I. But then afterwards, I went to the VFW with Doug and a bunch of our friends, and it was bingo night. It's also the fish fry. I had a wonderful shrimp cocktail, the biggest shrimp I've ever seen on the planet. And you know, we used our hand sanitizer going in and out because there was a lot of people. And so I won at bingo, you know, and I really contributed. I contributed to the fact that I just had that stuck in my mind all day after that show. That I had it, you know, I was expecting luck on Friday the 13th.
Oh wow, that is so cool. I always wanted to win at bingo, you know.
However, I did not have luck with toilet paper because I went to Walmart and the shelves were bare here in Tucson, Arizona. There was a run on everything yesterday. The hysteria is just unbelievable out there, you know. I did the calculations on. I mean, the last no, I haven't been listening, to be honest with you, because I don't want all that negativity going in my head. But the last numbers I heard was, 1,600 cases in the United States. I did the math on that, and it's actually 0.0004% of the population of the United States.
The numbers have changed.
Yeah, and but the thing is, people were even giving numbers up as high as, well, we don't know how many are infected because we, aren't having the testing. It could be as many as 10,000. Well, okay, 10,000 is 0.003% of the population of the United States. You got to put it in context, people. And the hysteria is just crazy. I mean, the president says one thing mistakenly yesterday that he's shutting down imports from the entire world, which is not what happened or was going to happen, but Trump said it, and so there was a run everywhere, on every store in the United States, on things like that, and food and toilet paper and everything. It's just insane. It's absolutely insane. More people have influenza right now and are dying from influenza right now in the winter here than have coronavirus people. You got to put things in context.
Look, I think the big thing is that everything that they're telling us to do, the preventative measure, it's all about trying to prevent it. It would be fantastic,
right,
if what ends up happening is more in line with how you see the numbers. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just any loss of life is a tragedy, no matter what. But
absolutely.
If we cannot have what happened in Italy happen here, by everybody deciding okay, you know what, I am going to take those precautions. Maybe I don't really think this is going to be so bad, but you know what, I don't want to endanger anybody else. We're all in this melting pot together. So why don't we just make sure we're not melting our germs on each other? I think if we all just give it
solve it.
I'll try. We can maybe stop this thing here, and
right.
then maybe all the predictions and numbers will be off. So I think I have confidence that we can do that.
I think we can do it. I just wanted to tell you what we're doing here in Tucson. We're either not touching at all, or we're doing the elbow, and instead of shaking hands.
I love
that. Personally, I'm actually doing the Vulcan salute. I'm doing Spock's, live long and prosper. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, Vulcans don't touch people. Vulcans don't touch.
Exactly.
I don't know how they have babies, but anyway. Yeah, and be a Vulcan, Yeah, and I got my hand sanitizer. I use it when I go in someplace. I use it when I come out of someplace. And we just try to avoid touching things. And doorknobs are the worst thing. If you're going in and out of the bathroom, grab some paper towels and open the door with the paper towels, not with your hand. Especially if you just wash them, you're negating the whole thing if you touch the knob, or even if it's one of those push panels, you want to push with the paper towels, not with your bare naked hand. If you just do little things like that, and not cough on each other, and things like it's not that hard. It's the same thing we do every single year in the flu season, people. It's the same thing, Yeah,
and we do need to take it seriously.
Yeah, and I'm not saying not to. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is I'm a numbers guy. I'm a numerologist. Okay, so the death rate from influenza is 1%. The death rate from coronavirus is higher. It's double. It's 2 or 3%. Yeah, that's horrible. But again, it's the difference between 1% and 2-3%. What does that mean? That means everybody that actually gets coronavirus, 98 to 97% will all recover. They were talking about the up in Washington about the senior care facilities and there, but there was an 89-year-old guy that, you know, completely recovered, no problem, you know.
I know, that was so cool to see that, you know, because I was so glad, you know, it didn't look good. But, you know, it's kind of a thing where this, you know, it's like that whole testing thing is the frustrating thing to me, I think, more than anything, because we're never going to have real numbers unless people like him be tested.
Freaking out.
You know, it's crazy.
Right. Yeah, I was freaking out about that yesterday. I was talking with people, and I said, how is it that, like in South Korea, they can test, you know, they've already tested millions and millions and millions of people, you know, and here, you know, the United States with the type of fantastic advanced medicine that we have, and, you know, we're the number one country for that, and we're the best, and we have the best testing facilities, and why is this so difficult? It doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah. Anyway, but we'll be talking more about it. We're going to see how things develop through this month. I know that I'm not going to be going out as much over the next few weeks, and I'm going to stay home and, you know, just necessities and see what happens. And then by the 28th, you know, maybe we'll have a clearer picture of what our trajectory is, and we can pull some cards on this and talk more about it on our Psychic Spin segment. Yeah,
that'll be exciting. So, maybe we'll all be able to get tested by then, for goodness sakes.
Who knows?
I'm hoping. It's like, let's find out, okay?
So I think we have time for a call or two as we go back to the phone lines here. You know, remember, if you have a great question for us to ask the tarot on the 28th, let us know so we can write it down. Otherwise, anything you want to talk about or questions you want to ask of the tarot yourself. I think the person that's been waiting the longest is area code 954. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Mary. I'm calling from South Florida, and in my county we've got about 19 cases, and experiencing the shortages of everything as well. And there's a lot of chaos and confusion. Plus, we've got all the spring breakers down here who think it's necessary to separate from one another. Anyway, my situation is kind of unique in a way because I've been dealing with a long-term illness that I'm still trying to get resolved. One of my appointments was canceled recently, and so it's holding up my getting better too. And I have a partner that is living with me who has a very short fuse and tends to go off when, sometimes even in normal days, but in a time like this has really been hard to deal with. And we've been together a couple of years, and financially and physically, we really have to depend on each other for just staying alive right now. We're seniors, so it makes it kind of hard. And he's got his own set of health problems. But today has been really a bad day for us, and he and I disagree about many political and social things as well. So it's not that we don't care about each other and trying to help each other, but it's just our personalities are complete opposites. And right now I can't make a move right now, and I've thought about it, but this has put everything on lockdown as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. I'm really trying my patience, and I know that there's nothing I can do at this point in time. And my main concern is that we both stay safe and don't get sick, of course. But it's really tough. So I'm just wondering, maybe you could do a little read and see if anything comes up regarding this.
Regarding your general situation overall.
Yeah,
whether
or not this is anything's going to straighten out or whatever. I don't know which way it's going to go at this point, because economically it's hard for both of us. He wouldn't probably have as much difficulty financially as I would. It's always easier for a man just to kind of put things in a suitcase and go, but I have a lot of belongings I'm trying to go through and trying to downsize and so forth. But at this point in time, I can't make any decisions physically. I'm not able to either, nor am I able to get out and get the help I need because of this lockdown. So
So what advice for how do we deal with it all?
Yeah, really.
Right?
I mean, you know, we both have spiritual background, even though it's different. And there are good times, but I think that I brought it to the attention of his doctor, which is also mine, that he may be going into some kind of a mental situation, but I don't see anyone following up on it or the need for it, nor does his daughter. You know, I'm not getting any backing, support. I don't have anyone supporting me physically or otherwise, financially, nothing. So I'm trying to handle this as logically as I can. But
Mary Brown.
Yes.
I think that I'm up first, so we're just going to, see what advice is coming through from the cards. There's not a lot that can be done, but it might have some ideas on what